qualification lap.
I'm side by side with Lando Norris now.
Screw you!
My F1 gaming career might be over.
I've been disqualified.
I've been killed by Esteban Gutierrez, lads.
Oh, I've been here.
A Ferrari crashed.
What a race. What a race.
Stoffel Van Dorn goes round those contracts between him and Louis Delatran. Oh, there's a huge shot there. Aaron has gone round. Ben getting his elbows out there, squeezing Lando as much as he possibly can. Lando on the inside. And he comes round the final corner to win the not the Oz GP. Daniel Moresne is our race winner here today.
Hello and welcome to Not the Bar GP, the series that puts together real-life drivers against content creators and, of course, other people in the sports racing world. Unfortunately, this series could happen because of the situation suspending all real-life sports, of course, due to coronavirus. Our thoughts and prayers are with all of those and their families that have been affected by this terrible disease. I'm your commentator for today, Hayden Gullis, and joined with me is going to be the wonderful Justin Sutton. Hello, Justin.
Thank you so much, Hayden. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It is indeed unfortunate circumstances we find ourselves in currently, but we are going to make the best of this bad situation and do our best to provide some quality racing and entertainment for the viewers at home who might be missing Formula One or Formula E or other motorsports or indeed sport in general. So we're going to do our best to fill that void, and we appreciate all of these drivers and spectators who are coming along for this fantastic ride.
It's a great thing for everyone to sort of come together in this bad situation and want to put on a show for everyone. It's not like people are doing it for money or stuff like that. You know, we're all coming together to put on a show for the fans because we all love racing, we all love being a part of it, and we want to take it even further. But today's schedule is going to be slightly changed from last week. Of course, in the Not the Oz GP, it was one 50% race and one qualifying session. Today, we are going to be doing a normal short qualifying session, but we've got two races for today. The first one will be a 25% race, followed by a second 25% race, which will be a reverse grid from the first race. So, Justin, how exactly will that shake up the show for today?
Well, the reverse grids is something that we're familiar with, obviously, at Veloce with Squad Sprint. I mean, that's more of a reverse grid with the championship rather than the races. But, you know, that's something that we're certainly very familiar with here. And it does indeed improve the racing, no doubt about it. You end up seeing these extremely quick drivers starting at the back, having to make their way through the field. And it creates lots of wheel-to-wheel action, lots of excitement. So I think we're going to be in for a real treat here. So we've got that first race, which, as you said, is going to be based on qualifying, which I cannot wait for. But then also coming up after that is going to be the reverse grid race, and that is going to be really spicy. That's going to be an entertaining one for sure.
We've got lots of good names on the grid who are not really familiar with, one, racing on the F1 2019 game, but also doing a reverse grid situation like this. I mean, some of them have come through F2, GP2, stuff like that, where they've had to do reverse grid from like the top 10 or the top 8. So this is going to be something completely different for a lot of those guys.
Oh, yeah, completely different sort of experience. I mean, certainly I've never done a reverse grid race. You know, it's not something that you see typically, but again, you know, we're really leaning into the entertainment factor here, which I think is fantastic. This is not a group of esports drivers. There are esports drivers in the group, but as a whole, you know, these are not people that have spent thousands of hours practicing on the Codemasters F1 games. You know, there's a wide range of different talents here. And yeah, just the fact that this is such a different situation for them, in addition, on top of that, the reverse grids and everything, it's going to make things pretty interesting. And I mean, we have been pretty kind to them. We are allowing assists, for example. I think the race would be a lot quieter if we didn't allow assists after the first lap or so. But damage is on, you know, so they do have to be careful out there. It is fixed setups as well, so there's not going to be huge gaps between the drivers in terms of setups and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of question marks up in the air, but that just, you know, it makes it that much more interesting.
Exactly, it's going to really shake up the field, and it's going to make it a lot easier for the new guys coming into it to be competitive and be up there with the likes of the top esports guys, because those guys have put hundreds of hours into the game, and they're going to be immensely quick on here as we're getting into the qualifying. So whilst we're watching the cars go out on track at the moment, they're just going to be going out for their out laps. Let's get into talking about the full grid that we have for today's race. So starting off with the McLaren, completely unchanged from last week. Of course, we've got some new drivers coming in today. We've got Lando Norris, F1 driver for McLaren, of course champion in many junior categories, and has a huge Twitch following as well. And of course, he is paired up with, again, WillNE, who is of course the YouTuber, 3 million YouTube subs on his main channel and 1 million on his secondary channel. So what do you think of that lineup, Justin? McLaren, we saw them last time out, Lando getting the P6 in Australia, or not Australia, as this series is supposed to be, and also WillNE not finishing last, which many people thought that he would do. He actually beat AR12 Gaming. So what's your feeling for those two guys?
Well, I think WillNE is probably going to be looking to improve on that. I mean, it was a great first outing, as you said, not getting in last position for the not Oz GP. So, I mean, that's just perfect right there. But, you know, there's only one place to go down on. And honestly, I think if he could just keep the car facing in the right direction, he's very likely to, you know, improve on that position last time out. Lando Norris, I'm also looking for some improvements on. You know, I think last week was a bit of a learning experience for him. In fact, we all know exactly the kind of learning experience that it was for him. I think we've all seen the hilarious clips that got uploaded last week. But I am expecting him to improve for sure. I mean, this guy is a naturally very quick racing driver. I would be shocked if he didn't improve from last week.
He did a great job, especially battling with the likes of TiametmardUK, who has a lot of experience on this game. Moving on now, we have Mercedes, which is another pairing that has not been changed. Stoffel Vandoorne, of course, the Formula E driver for Mercedes-Benz EQ, and Esteban Gutierrez alongside him, of course, the Mercedes F1 test driver. And the racing points not changed either. Thibaut Courtois, the Real Madrid goalkeeper, coming back for a second running. And to be fair to him, he did really well last time out, and he is paired with Tyrrell Limitless, James Doherty, of course, F1 esports driver and YouTube content creator. So those four names, big names, in fact, in this series coming into it.
Yeah, James Doherty in particular is going to be a real quick one because, again, you know, former esports driver, very much involved in the world of F1 esports. He knows what he's doing. He's got a huge following on YouTube as well, and rightfully so. Just a fantastic driver, fantastic guy as well, too. Same thing with Vandoorne and Gutierrez. As I said, with Lando, I would expect improvements from them because, again, you know, these guys live by finding tenths of a second, so that's something that I would expect from them. And Courtois as well. I mean, he's going to be learning as well as he goes. So certainly, you know, if they don't move up in position compared to last week, certainly I expect them to at least look better out there.
Exactly. James Baldwin's just gone and set the fast lap of the race, but now he's just been overtaken by Jarno Opmeer. So talking about Jarno Opmeer, let's go on to the Renault team. And of course, F1 esports driver in the 2019 season, came fourth. We know he is quick, and he is lined up alongside Simon Weigang, not here for this race, but Ian Poulter, the golfer. 17 professional wins, 3 PGA Tours and 12 European Tours, and actually has a great sim setup in his own garage back in Orlando. 2 sims and a whole team around him. So, you know, coming from a different sport, you might think that he might not be quick, but same as Thibaut Courtois, he could surprise us.
Yeah, I would say that gives him a pretty good, you know, shot here at a good result because, yeah, I mean, that's a heck of a setup. It sounds like it's a better setup than I've ever had in my sim racing career, and I would say it's a very good chance he's going to be quicker than I ever was as well. So that'll be a really interesting one. And as you said, Jarno Opmeer, I mean, what can you say about this guy? He is one of the fastest F1 game drivers in the world right now. He is at the tippy top. He is a contender for the Drivers' Championship later this year and for the 2020 season. So, I mean, he is unbelievably quick, and who knows, Ian may end up being a dark horse.
He might be. I mean, Jarno Opmeer, his competition has got to be Formula Danny. Let's move on to the Alfa Romeo team. Daniel Bresnay lining up alongside James Baldwin in that one. Of course, Daniel Bresnay winning the Constructors' Championship with Mercedes in the 2018 F1 Esports Series, third in 2019, and of course the winner last time out in Australia. So we know he is quick, and also he is lined up alongside the world's fastest gamer. So a very quick team in the likes of Alfa Romeo, and they're definitely ones to watch to be up near the front of the grid, aren't they?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, these are two of the fastest sim racers in the world. Again, you know, these are right at the pinnacle as far as what's possible with these sorts of games and stuff. So, I mean, they're probably going to have the best team result, I would assume, because that is a powerhouse of a pairing right there.
Moving on from fast sim racers to fast real-life drivers. In the Williams team, we have Nicolas Latifi actually making his F1 debut, weirdly enough, on the F1 2019 game. He is, of course, the Williams 2020 driver and second in F2 in 2019. And he is lined up alongside Nico Hülkenberg, former F1 driver with 177 race starts. And, of course, remember, he knows how to put in a qualifying lap, getting pole in the 2010 Brazilian Grand Prix for Williams, so he's in the same team. He's also a 24-hour Le Mans winner. So there's a very good, strong category in that Williams team, but will they be quick in sim racing?
It's Nick and Nico. That's what I'm calling that team.
Nico.
Nick and Nico. That is
the
fantastic. Pairing. Yeah, I love that pairing right there. Two incredible drivers. You've got one with a lot of experience, one who's just starting his F1 career with this 2020 season. So, yeah, I mean, that one is a big question mark for me, though. I don't know exactly how those pair are going to do. Certainly, I don't know how they're going to do against each other, but you can be sure that they're especially going to be keen to beat each other.
Yes, certainly. I mean, any racing driver will tell you that they are competitive no matter what they're putting. They'll be putting a game of Snap or Uno, and they're going to be just as competitive as they are in racing. Moving on to Haas, a team that some people may not really know of these two drivers taking part. Felix von der Leyden and Pete Smit, both German. And both YouTubers, in fact. Felix is a YouTuber with 3 million subscribers, but he is also a real-life driver as well. Imagine James Baldwin, but with a bigger following, pretty much. That is what Felix is. GT4 driver in 2019, I think getting a race win in Austria. And for this year, we'll be doing the DTM trophy, so the junior category for DTM. And Pete Smit is a German YouTuber, 2 million subscribers on YouTube and 500,000 followers on Twitch. So they're going to have a big showing for Germany. Germany's probably rooting for those guys. But what do you think for those two?
I mean, this is definitely the big question mark team, in my opinion, because yeah, I'm not familiar with their stuff. I don't know too much about them, but that does not mean that they don't have the capability of performing extremely well. I have, in my time as a sim racing commentator, been surprised hundreds of times by drivers, and this is one that I'm very interested to see how they go, because yeah, I just don't know all that much about them, but I welcome all of their followers. I hope they'll enjoy the broadcast, and I hope they'll stick with us the entire time to cheer them on.
Hopefully they do. Ian Poulter has for some reason been disqualified from the sessions. Hopefully we can get a bit of information of what has happened to Ian there. But so he's going to be right at the back of the grid for the first race. But who knows? There is a reverse grid. He could come back into it in the second one, being in pole position. Going through the rest of the grid, then we come into our content creators. Red Bull Racing has got Benjamin Daly, TiametmardUK. Of course, 400k YouTube subs, one of the biggest guys in F1 YouTube, and he is lining up alongside Louis Delatraz, who drove the Haas last time out. Not a good showing for Louis Delatraz, but he is definitely quick on the game. He is quick in real life. Current F2 driver for Charoux. So it'll be interesting to see what those two. It's going to be a good pairing. Ben had a great race last time out, didn't he?
I gotta say, I've said it before in the Veloce squad sprint stuff, but I'm gonna say it again, and I'm gonna keep on saying it. Benjamin Daly is faster than people realize.
Exactly.
You know, people think YouTube content creator, and they think, you know, he's just going around with the AI at 80% or something like that, and creating some videos. But no, this guy, he spends so much time on these games that he genuinely has some pace. He's not quite at the esport driver level, but he's not far off it.
For Benjamin Daly, I think if he wasn't doing content creation and putting all his time into that, I reckon he would be as quick as some of the esports guys, because those guys put in so much time and effort to get to the level they are. Moving on to probably one of his rivals, one that he would like to get the better of in this race. Of course, he did so in the first round in Australia. Arava. And he is lined up alongside Jem Bullock-Bassi. So Arava being another content creator, 300 UK YouTube subs, and he is also the 2019 Alfa Romeo F1 Esports team principal. And Jem Bullock-Bassi being an F1 Esports driver since 2017, and will also be taking part in GT4 European Series in 2020. So we know that Jem is quick, but Arava is also quick too, isn't he?
Yeah, I'd put Erev maybe marginally below Ben when it comes to speed, below TiametmardUK, and I'm sure Erev would hate me for saying that, and I'm sure Ben would love me for saying that, but he's not that far off. You know, he can have some really good drives for sure. So I would say he's definitely going to be one to watch, probably for a top 10, lower half of the top 10, that sort of thing. And Jembo Agbasi, as you said, one of the most experienced F1 esports drivers out there. He's been around since the very beginning. He's in GT4 European Series now. He got that real world racing drive, and deservedly as well. So that's definitely a strong pairing as well. I'm not quite to Alfa Romeo's level, but you know, solid, both of them in the top 10, I'd say very likely.
Moving on to the final team, but definitely not the last. There's going to be a lot of people rooting for both of these guys. We've got Steve Brown, Super GT, and Jimmy Broadbent in the red Scarlet Ferrari cars. Both of them having huge followings on both YouTube and Twitch. Quicker, usually in games like iRacing and R Factor, GT Sport. This is a completely different game, isn't it, Justin?
Yeah, it's very. I mean, when you go from, even when you went from F1 2018 to 2019, things shake up. You know, every single game has a different sort of feel to it, strengths and weaknesses, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, but as you said, that raw talent, that sim racing experience is there.
Right, well, we'll go back to qualifying now. That is the whole grid for you guys. So just in case you didn't know who anyone was on the starting grid, there you go. There you now know who everyone is. Formula Danny, which is Daniel Bresnay, lining up at the moment in pole position, but there is still 5 minutes left in this qualifying session, and you can bet that those guys will be going out at the end of the session. We're currently watching live with Lando Cam and Ian Poulter on Golf Cam there. Both of them just sort of waiting at the moment. I don't think either of them are out on track as of yet. No, Lando's in the pits, and Ian Poulter, of course, disqualified from the session, so he's probably just trying to work out what exactly went on there. Lando had a great stream last time, didn't he? Very entertaining guy. A lot of funny moments, wasn't there?
Yeah, Lando's the best. I mean, he just is. Yeah, he's just the best. I mean, what else can you say about that guy? He's unbelievable.
Quick and funny. What more could you ask for?
He is the complete package. If I were single, you know, I would be chatting him up. I mean, seriously, Lando is unbelievable. He's such a great guy to bring into McLaren, which is a team that has, you know, struggled in recent years in the second part of the 2010s, that kind of thing. And he's just a breath of fresh air, as is Carlos Sainz. I love Carlos as well. They're both fantastic guys, very quick drivers, great with social media, very funny, highly entertaining. And I'm not surprised at all that he's getting the success that he deserves on Twitch. Because of all the reasons I just listed. It's just absolutely fantastic. We are getting close to the end of qualifying now, so this is when things are really going to start to pick up here.
We're having a look at...
Yeah, I was going to mention, just for the viewers, for anybody who's unfamiliar with F1 2019, you can see who we're looking at by looking at the left-hand side at the timing screen. You can see those 2 arrows next to James Baldwin's name. That tells you who we're looking at the moment. So just for the viewers, just so that they know what's going on, who we're looking at, as he goes off the circuit. So I think he's just trying to get back around to start a lap now.
Yeah, he might be going for, maybe not a quick one on this one, but going for the quick one later on in the session, of course. Just like the game is very similar to real life, where the track does get quicker as the session go on. Of course, you get quicker as well with the more laps that you do. So he'll be waiting right to the end of the session. Daniel Bresnay, of course, last time out in Australia, sets his time right at the end of the session, and he got pole position. So maybe James Baldwin will be doing the same thing as him, as we're watching on board with Lando Norris, the star of the show, coming through turn 11. At the moment, will he be able to improve on his P6? A really good showing from Lando Norris, and also Nicolas Latifi. P8 coming into this. No one really knew how quick he was, but P8 at the moment is a great showing as we're looking down through the further through the field. Jana Watmere currently in second with James Baldwin third, Jem Bullet-Bassi in fourth, Tira Limitless, James Doherty in P5 with Lando sixth, who we're watching on board with currently at the moment. Just winding up his lap, we've got TiametmardUK in seventh with Nicolas Latifi eighth. Thibaut Courtois, the Real Madrid #1 goalkeeper, currently in P9. Great showing from him once again in this qualifying session with Esteban Gutierrez 10th, just ahead of his teammate Stoffel van Dorn in P11. Jimmy Broadbent in 12th with Louis Delatraz 13th, Arava down in 14th, Nico Hulkenberg 15th at the moment in the session, Super GT in 16th, and then we have the Haas of Pete Schmid in 17th, WillNE down in 18th, and Felix, who is on screen as Dina, he is in P19. Of course, Ian Poulter disqualified from the session at the moment. No news on why exactly that has happened, but Lando Norris winding his lap up at the moment, looking very nice and tidy as he goes through the S's section and down in towards the braking zone of turn 8. Back on the power and then into this very tricky section, and you can very easy to lock up a brake and mess up and ruin your whole lap through turns 9 and 10. You're braking whilst you're turning, and it is very, very difficult to get the car slowed down, but Lando looks like he does that perfectly. Just what you'd expect to see from a real-life racing driver, wouldn't you, Justin?
He's looking so comfortable out there. He certainly looks more comfortable than the rest of the real racing drivers, and you can see that by the fact that the only people ahead of him in this qualifying session so far are esports drivers.
Yes.
Danny, Jarno, James, Limitless, Jem. These are the guys that you know have actually had success in F1 esports in multiple seasons, and you know, these are the guys that are the quickest of the quick. And then you see about a half a second behind them is Lando Norris and TiametmardUK, and then it's about another half second down to Louis Delatraz, Esteban Gutierrez, the real life racing drivers. So what's really impressing me right now is Lando and TiametmardUK. These two guys are sort of bridging that gap between the esports drivers, content creators, and real racers.
Ooh, Ben, I think just coming out for his outlap now, unless that was his teammate. No, I think that is Ben. I don't think he's going to have enough time to set a lap. He's really going to have to get a move on because there's only 1 minute left in the session as we're watching on board with last time out pole sitter Daniel Berezne. Can he stick it on pole once again? He's currently holding that position. Jarno Opmeer will not be going out for another lap. His session is done with a 26.3, and Formula Danny does go quicker, a 1:26.1. What a lap there from Danny Berezne, who's really out to sort of challenge that. Maybe James Baldwin, maybe Chen Bassi, maybe even Tyrrell Limitless. They really need to setting an absolute flyer if they want to get the job done. Ben getting held up by Lando, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to set. He's cutting the corners. He's trying his best to get all the way back to the start-finish line to get to that lap in. Will Ben be able to make it? Lando sort of battling. He's like, well, I don't know really what's going on. This isn't the race, guys, but they're battling anyway in qualifying. Maybe they want position. Of course, in Formula 1, the etiquette is just to sort of, once you get towards the final couple of sectors, you stay in that position till the line. If you don't make it, it's your own hard luck for not getting there quick enough. Lando's just like, no, I had this position, I'm holding on to it, and I don't think either of them are going to come around to set a flying lap, as WillNE is done in this session so far. So is everybody currently in the pits. WillNE, unfortunately, bottom of everyone apart from Ian Poulter, but he'll be looking to improve as the race goes on. Ben, that session is over for him, but he's going to come across the line anyway just to complete the lap. Or is that a quick lap? No, it wasn't a quick lap, of course, because he came out of the pits there. So Benjamin Daly, his session should be done, but although he hasn't had the checker flag near his name, so maybe there's just a timing issue at the moment with those guys, but we'll wait and see for that. It's still no checker flag for him, so maybe he has got enough time to set a lap, which would be incredible. And look at this, the team play between the Alfa Romeos. Daniel Berezne giving the slipstream, I believe, there to maybe James Baldwin, or was that Baldwin giving it to Danny Berezne as they come through the last couple of corners now, turn 13, onto the long straight that leads into the last corner. Baldwin very, very wide there, using all the track limits available. Of course, it is on regular corner cutting because of the new guys coming into it. We didn't want to put it on strict because most of them would probably get disqualified. If you've watched the TiametmardUK video, he'd get disqualified within about 3 laps. Baldwin comes across the line. Is it an improvement? Yes, it is, but it's only enough for P2. It doesn't steal pole position away from Formula Danny. It's a 26.2, and he just about pips Jarno Opmeer. What a qualifying session that is. Is there anybody out on track, though, still able to set lap times? TiametmardUK, I'm not too sure what he is doing at the moment, but 27.4. He'll be looking to improve and try and beat Lando Norris, who is 3 tenths ahead of him. He'll be trying to find all the lap time available, track extending as much as we can. The corner cutting king, as TiametmardUK is known as, through the final corner now. Is it going to be an improvement for TiametmardUK down towards the line? What is his lap time on the board? And it is not an improvement there. It is an improvement, but it's not by enough. To 1/10 behind Lando Norris, unfortunately. Anybody else still out on track? Thibaut Courtois sets lap time. He improves, but does not improve on his position. And that is our qualifying order, Justin.
Wow, Nicolas Latifi did end up going a little bit quicker. He found a couple of tenths. Ben Daly found a couple of tenths. Lando Norris found a couple of tenths. None of them improved their positions, but they were all finding time at the Bahrain International Circuit towards the end of that qualifying session. But in the end, it is the Alfa Romeos that lock out the front row. I can't say I'm all that surprised, to be totally honest, though. Again, we spoke about just how scary that team is.
Yes, they have got some formidable pace, both James Baldwin and Daniel Beresnay. Pole and second position, locking out the front row. We've got Jarno Opmeer just behind him. We know how quick Jarno Opmeer is. He'll be looking to try and get past those guys as soon as possible. He tried it, of course, in Knots, the Oz GP. They went 3 wide, Danny, Simon and Jarno down in towards turn 1. Simon came off worse. Will Jarno be able to pit both of them and get the job done? Of course, it's going to be very difficult for those guys at the front, but then you're looking down further in the field, you have the battle between TiametmardUK and Lando Norris. That looks like it's going to be continuing, as those two are very close together in the qualifying order, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. This is going to be very close. And just as a reminder to everybody, in case you guys are just tuning in, you missed the intro, something like that, it is only a 25% distance race this time, which in my experience, Hayden, tells me that people are going to be a little bit more desperate than they were last week, because they had a 50% distance race to try and make up time for any mistakes, make up positions, all that kind of stuff. They don't have quite as much time this time with it being a shorter race, so we could see some people going for some crazy moves.
Just reading in some of your tweets at the moment, some of you guys sending in. Of course, if you want to send in your tweet, use the hashtag #NotTheBarGP. Sorry, I missed that one. It came up a little bit too quickly. If you can get that back again, maybe, then I can read out. I think it was just support from the series. So thank you, whoever it was that tweeted out. And if you do want to get in contact with us, don't forget to use the hashtag on Twitter, #NotTheBarGP. So there we go. Looks like the formation lap is getting underway very early. And look at some of the guys at the back of the row in the Toro Rosso and the Ferrari. They are just getting on with it. I think that might be Arava, who is just trying to get on with it. Maybe it's just extra practice, you know. Just use the formation lap to drive normally and get that extra practice in.
Might as well. I mean,
might as well.
Yeah, it's another minute 30 of practice or thereabouts. So, yeah,
coming into this race, with it being a 25% race, like you said, how much will that differ strategy-wise compared to the 50% race that we saw?
Oh, certainly a planned one-stop race is what I would expect from all of these guys. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anybody to intentionally be going for a two-stop. Now, with that said, again, damage is on. Just to reiterate that, damage is on. Assists are on as well, and again, that is to help some of the people who are less experienced in the F1 2019 and the F1 racing games in general. But damage is on. It's very much a real thing.
On board. Sorry, just a button there from Marv Spice. I'm ready for more at F1 action, courtesy of Veloce Esports. Great to see Lando Norris, Nico Hulkenberg, Stoffel Van Dorn and other names taking part. So thank you very much for your support, and thank you for watching. And if you do want to get in touch, don't forget to use the hashtag #NotTheBarGP. It's on your screens in the bottom left-hand corner. Currently watching Lando Cam and Golf Cam. It looks like Lando's just sitting comfortable. I don't know whether he had a collision on the formation lap. Of course, you have a collision. It just resets your car on the grid. You're not going to be out of the session. You can just wait for everybody else to come round. The formation lap on this game doesn't really add or do anything to the cars. You can weave your tyres and you can weave the car as much as you want. It won't really add wear, nor will it change anything. The only thing that will change is your ERS. Formula 1, time to start the fun. Veloce Esports, #NotTheBarGP, has completed qualifying and is live ahead of the first race. So thank you, Formula 1, for plugging us there. Great to see that everybody, the whole racing community, coming together as we're now looking to get this race underway. The cars are lining up on the grid. Daniel Beresnay lining up in pole position. Alongside him is his Alfa Romeo teammate of James Baldwin, Jarno Opmeer. We're just waiting for him to get into his grid position. He currently lines up in third. There he is, creeping onto our screens. And Cem Bassi lining up in P4. Tiro Limitless 5. Who is going to get the job done? Is the grid lines up. The lights are coming on now. We're going to 5 red lights for #NotTheBarGP. It is lights out and we are off. There we go. Once again, the lights going out, but nobody moving. It's just a glitch with the game. Don't worry, guys. And we are off, as it looks like a great start from Daniel Beresnay. Will James go up the inside, though, on his teammate? He has a little look, but he doesn't get the job done. Jarno Opmeer getting sort of squeezed out. We have a few drivers running off wide. There's a Mclaren hitting a Red Bull. Not too sure who that was. I think that might be Lando Norris way down the field. He's dropped all the way down to 19th. Him and TiametmardUK are coming to blows very, very early on, as Ian Poulter drops down into P19 as well. James Baldwin trying to defend against Jarno Opmeer. The battle of the esports guys. Jarno Opmeer going up against James Baldwin. Can he get the job done, or will he wait his time? Will he be patient? This is a 25% race. There's 14 laps ahead of us. Let's not get the moves done and break our front wing too early, boys. Tiro Limitless slots in P4. Looks like he overtook Bassi, who lines in P5 at the moment. Nicolas Latifi with a great start, moving up into P6, and Stoffel Van Dorn as well, up into P7. What a good start for those guys, as nearly goes round Super GT, but he gets overtaken by Felix. Oh, and he goes round there, gets smacked by Peach Schmidt, and unfortunately, Super GT is round, and that's going to put him right at the back with Ian Poulter. I'm not too sure what has happened to Ian as well. Maybe just struggled to get off the line, and I can't wait to maybe get a replay from the likes of Lando Norris and TiametmardUK to see exactly what happened between those two at the start. They were both very wide at the start of the race and went off the track, and unfortunately for Lando, he's come off worse down in P19 as Tyrrell Limitless just gets a massive barge from the back of Jem Bullet Bassi. If you can't send it, Justin, rear end it, and Jem Bullet Bassi doing exactly that there as he now goes for the overtake on Tyrrell Limitless. Limitless, though, gets the job back done on him. He gets past him down in towards turn 1, moves up into P4, and this looks like a very tasty battle indeed. What an opening lap, Justin.
Fantastic stuff. Absolutely incredible. The top two starting to break away. Not a lot of battling going on between those two Alfa Romeos. Courtois picking up a penalty there already. Pete Smith heading into the pits as well as Super GT and Thibaut Courtois in there as well. So they're all fitting onto the hard tires though, so they're going to have to do a 13-lap stint on that harder compound tire. They're going to be struggling out there for sure. It's the slowest tire compound available to these drivers. So yeah, they're going to be having a hard time. But just looking back near the front, Limitless still trying to defend from Jem Bullet Bassi. No DRS just yet, obviously, but we'll see if he can use the slipstream here and maybe some high ERS. Or actually, no, the ERS is on automatic. I apologize about that. But no, he's not going to be able to mount an attack into this left-hander here. So they will maintain the position for the meantime. But yeah, some really close racing between these two.
Really close racing. Two esports drivers going head-to-head. It also looks like Jarno Opmeer still putting the pressure on James Baldwin up in front. Talk about the starts of Nicolas Latifi and Stoffel Van Dorn. Nicolas Latifi, of course, starting in P8 as Jarno Opmeer gets past James Baldwin down in towards the final corner, but that could mean that James Baldwin comes back past him in towards turn 1. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, we're watching this battle at the moment between Arriva and Louis Delatraz, and of course Stoffel Van Dorn. No, it's just Stoffel Van Dorn. Louis Delatraz just a little bit further off behind Arriva at the moment as Arriva goes up the inside in towards Stoffel Van Dorn down towards turn 1. This is a big moment for Arriva. He made a series on YouTube called My Driver where he recreated and made fake stories on F1 in the gaming world where he would actually race against the likes of Stoffel Van Dorn, and here he is doing it for reals. We're watching Jarno Opmeer make a fantastic move around the outside in towards turn 4. He gets the job done, and it looks like he's going to hold on to that position, but knowing James Baldwin, he's going to try and get back past him as soon as he possibly can. So go down in towards the very tricky turn 9 and turn 10 now. What would James Baldwin do here? Probably just sit behind him, wait. Oh, little lock up on the front left there from James Baldwin here. Get the DRS open because it is now activated as we go on to lap 3 of this race. As Super GT has unfortunately left the session for some reason. That could just be a disconnect, so hopefully we can get him back in as soon as possible. Nico Hulkenberg currently down in 19th position at the moment. He's going to gain from Super GT's Ghost Car, going around slowly, but Jarno Opmeer defending currently from James Baldwin, doing a solid job of it as well.
Getting a bit creative with that corner there, coming out of turn 13. Going a little bit wide there. And of course, this battling between Jarno and James Baldwin is doing wonders for Formula Danny up at the front. He's now got a 2-second lead after 3 laps of racing as we start lap number 4. Here's going to be the first opportunity with the DRS on the start-finish straight for James Baldwin. Let's see if it's going to be enough for him to dive up the inside on the Renault in this 25% distance race. No, he can't quite get close enough, so he's going to have to stay behind for the meantime. But on the run down towards turn 4, it could be an opportunity for him. Just behind, though, it looks like Jem Bullet Bassi and TRL Limitless are still battling as well.
Also battling Jimmy Broadbent and Louis Delatraz going side by side. Jimmy Broadbent getting the better of Louis Delatraz. It looks like Jimmy has had a bit more practice on this game coming into Not The Bar GP. He struggled massively in Australia. If you know Jimmy, you know that he is quick on sim racing games. So it was a bit of a surprise to see. But of course, these games do take practice. It looks like he's done some practice in his spare time. And he is currently up into P8 up against the F2 driver of Louis Delatraz. Looking further down the field, Ian Poulter putting in a good showing at the moment. P15. Battling with Pete Smith down there and only just behind Lando Norris. So I'm not too sure whether Norris has problems at the moment, but those two battling it out down there. Of course, Ian Poulter, his nickname is apparently the Postman, so will we be seeing him send a few moves up the inside on Lando Norris? Here we go, watching Ian Poulter following Lando Norris. Will he be able to keep up with him at the moment? A little bit wide there through the very tricky corner of turn 10 into the slipstream as we watch on board now with their 2 POVs. Lando concentrating massively, and look at it. Look at that garage. Just 2 Ferraris casually just sitting there in the background.
This is fantastic stuff. I didn't see any damage on Lando Norris's car, by the way. I may have just missed it, but he has just started to spread his to spread that gap. He's getting a little bit further away from Ian Poulter. You can see it's 1.6 seconds now between the two of them, so he's looking a little bit more comfortable. Maybe just kind of getting into the rhythm of things or so. But he didn't have a great start of the race. He's on the back foot. He's struggling at the moment, so he just needs to get in the right mindset. Stoffel Van Dorn in the pits for Mercedes, and it looks like that should be his one and only stop for the race, I would imagine. Meanwhile, Jimmy Broadbent and Louis Delatraz still going at it. Jem Bolek-Bassi and TRL Limitless changing positions as well, so lots of battling going on further up in the top 10.
So many battles out on track. It is literally so difficult to try and keep up with everything that is going on, but you are doing a fantastic job, Justin. Like you say, Stoffel Van Dorn coming into the pits earlier than a lot of the other guys, but this is around the sort of pit stop window for a 25% race, anywhere between lap 3 to lap 6 if you started on the soft tyres. It's interesting to note that Felix actually started on the medium tyres, so he is in P4. If you notice, his name has changed between sessions. He is now Felix von der Leyden, so it's easier to see which one Felix is, as Arav gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, which is probably no surprise to us. Oh, Arav are cutting corners on the F1 2019 games. We're still watching this battle between TRL Limitless go up against Jem Bolek-Bassi. Of course, like I say, the two F1 esports drivers, and Nicolas Latifi not too far behind this battle. Whilst these two are battling hard against each other, it's allowing Nicolas to come into this battle. Maybe he could be seeing a P4 in this race. It looks like Jem Bolek-Bassi coming into the pits, and Limitless is following him. He is not going to allow Jem to get that undercut. They both get slowed down. No penalties for them. No penalties for Latifi as well. He is following these guys and copying their strategy. You'll be probably going to see a lot of drivers come into the pits now. Look at them all flooding into the pits. Gutierrez, TiametmardUK, Jimmy Broadbent. But it looks like Felix is not doing so at the moment. He's going to gain all these guys. Of course, he is starting on the medium tyres. He'll be going on the softs at the end, which means he's going to be quicker at the end of the session. Who else is coming into the pits? No one else. Oh no, Lando Norris, Louis Delatraz coming into the pits. We'll be able to see whether Lando Norris actually did have any damage, because he will be held up maybe longer than the likes of Ian Poulter, because I don't believe Ian has had damage in this race. He's going to move up into P10. Now it's going to be interesting for those guys behind catching up to Ian, how quickly they can get past him. And it's also going to be interesting to see from the likes of Formula Danny, Jarno Opmeer and James Baldwin why they are staying out longer. Of course, they're trying to get that gap because they want that free air. If they come out earlier and are stuck behind other drivers, then it's going to make it very, very difficult for them in the race, isn't it, Justin?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, there's only so many places you can overtake at this circuit, or indeed any circuit, obviously. So we're on board with Lando Norris at the moment, though. He's got a pretty sizable gap. A lovely shot of him just getting into Sector 2 there through those S-curves down towards the Turn 8 hairpin, and looking absolutely fantastic. He's going to close up rather quickly. He's not going to be able to pick up the DRS here on the run down towards Turn 11, but probably he can get up to the back of that Renault come the end of this lap, try to make that overtake on the run down towards Turn 1.
Jarno
and the leaders are pitting.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Jarno Opmeer and James Baldwin coming into the pits, and also battling as they were coming into the pit lane. So it'd be nice to see how close they were, because they did actually switch positions and then they both came into the pit lane. But Jarno and James pitting earlier, and will the undercut really help them against Formula Danny, because he is miles ahead at the moment. They're really going to need to put in some hot laps here at the moment before Danny comes into the pits to allow him to catch up. And maybe there was a bit of team orders in play between the two of them. Of course, everybody is in a team chat with their teammates. So maybe Danny said to James, you know, stay out. I'll stay out at the moment. You come into the pits. You're battling with Jarno. Let's get P1 and P2.
Yep, I think you're exactly right about that.
Oh, he's gone very wide off the track, lost the back end there, didn't he? Off the track for James Baldwin, and that's going to lose him loads of time to Jarno Opmeer, and may even put him in the fight with Jem Bolek-Bassi and Limitless, as actually no, they're way off actually. The undercut for those two did not work at all for Jem Bolek-Bassi, as they're miles off and actually chasing down Felix on track, who seems to be holding them up. Of course, he is on the medium tyres. Sorry to interrupt you, Justin, there. What were you saying?
Oh, no, yeah, that was a big moment there for James Baldwin. He was just coming out of turn 7. It's such a high-speed corner coming out of 7, and then you got to get back over to the left side of the circuit to open up turn 8 as much as you can, and I think that maybe that change of direction just caused him to lose the back end. So it's unfortunate for James Baldwin. He now finds himself with a 2.3-second gap to Jarno Opmeer, but as you said, the three of them really separating themselves. It's over 4 seconds down to Jem Bolek-Bassi, who did manage to get past Felix. Limitless is going to be the next one. Felix could be coming in this lap. He's just finishing up lap 7. 7 and about to start lap number 8. I'd say 7 is a little bit long on the softs for the second half of the race, but the track is a little bit more rubbered in, lower on fuel. He does opt to stay out for the meantime, but I wouldn't expect too many more laps before we see Felix come in.
Interesting to see as well, Daniel Bresnay came into pits on that lap and comes out ahead of Jarno Opmeer by only 1 second. So it looks like Jarno Opmeer has closed down the gap between himself and Formula Danny. And it's also interesting to note that he's shaken off James Baldwin, which means he's no longer focused about the big Alfa Romeo in his mirrors, and he's now got his eyes set on the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. So he doesn't have to worry about defending. He can put all his focus into attacking Formula Danny in the last remaining 6 laps of this race, as Ian Poulter comes into the pits in the other Renault, and that's going to put him down the field. Will Arava and Super GT be able to get past him, or will Ian be able to hold on to that position ahead of those guys? Nico Hülkenberg slotting into P16 as Arava does indeed get past Ian Poulter, but I think Ian comes out of the pits just ahead of Super GT, who is not having a good race at all, unfortunately getting put round by Peachmeat in that battle where he just lost the back end a little bit out of turns 9 and 10. One of the Hasses went past and he was squeezed between a Red Bull and another Haas, and unfortunately he went round. But great showings at the moment for the likes of Nicolas Latifi and Stoffel Van Dorn. Can't praise them enough. P7 and P8, but they are being hunted down by TiametmardUK and also Jimmy Broadbent, who is right on the back of TiametmardUK as well. Jarno Opmeer goes and sets the fastest lap of the race so far in this Not the Bar GP. He is definitely trying to hunt down Formula Danny, and why wouldn't he?
Oh yeah, this is what we've been waiting for. Oh, and Felix has come into the pits, so that is going to be great news for those that were worried about the traffic behind him. But yeah, this Opmeer versus Beresnay battle is really what I'm very interested in at the moment. Opmeer seemed quick. He was quicker. He set the fastest lap last lap. However, he's already lost a couple of tenths in the first sector. A big lock up there for Formula Danny coming into that downhill turn 8 hairpin, and that might end up losing him some time. But no, he continues to extend the gap to Jarno Opmeer behind. So I do wonder if maybe Jarno just overcooked the tires a little bit. Of course, this is a circuit that really wears on the front tires, and you start feeling that understeer, all that kind of stuff. Also, just for those that may have missed it, Super GT is back in the race. He was able to rejoin. He has returned from the Shadow Realm, and he is back among us. So hopefully he can pick up, he can find some time and pick up some positions.
Return from the Shadow Realm, absolutely love it. James Baldwin currently settling for P3 at the moment, not able to catch up to Jarno Opmeer, but at the same time he's not being drawn into that battle between Jem Bassi and Limitless, as it looks like Jimmy Broadbent hot on the heels of TiametmardUK. Ben had a great showing last time out in the Australian Grand Prix. Jimmy Broadbent did not, and now these two are going head-to-head, which is just why this series is so great, because from one week someone could be good, someone could struggle, and then the next week it's all back to square one. They go at it again, and they've got to try and get the job done, as Jimmy Broadbent has come off a little bit from the back of TiametmardUK, but he is going to get the DRS now down in towards turn 1. So here he goes, following on the start-finish straight. Jimmy Broadbent here, get the DRS open, but will it be enough? Of course, ERS is on automatic, so they can't switch between those as he brakes hard down in towards turn 1. Can't get the job done there, but there is another DRS zone on the run down in towards turn 4. So maybe he's waiting patiently to get the job done in here. Will he send it up the inside in towards turn 4? Jimmy Broadbent, no, he doesn't even have a look. He's just settling behind TiametmardUK at the moment. So we're watching, as I just saw on the left-hand side, Thibaut Courtois getting past Peachmeat there down in P13. So not a good showing at the moment from Thibaut, but he did get caught up in an instant very early on in the race. And that, of course, put him right down to the back of the field. He did have a good qualifying session, but unfortunately, he's going to have to try and work his way back through the field, as Jimmy Broadbent still trying to wind up a move on TiametmardUK, but not having any luck at the moment, Justin.
Yeah, it's difficult. He is ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, though. That's one to put on your CV. I mean, certainly that's one that I would put on my CV. So it's not all bad news, but I mean, certainly he seems to have good pace. No doubt about that. I mean, I think that goes without saying. We've seen him in those packs that are with drivers who play these sorts of games all the time. So really impressive stuff, you have to say. Jimmy Broadbent still trying to catch up to TiametmardUK. I do wonder if he is just maybe saving some fuel or something like that, if he's just staying behind for the meantime, because he really didn't seem to gain all that much on that rundown towards turn 4 with the DRS, as you were talking about, Hayden. Let's see if he's going to have another opportunity here in down towards turn 1. I don't know how many more positions he may have on himself. Or how many more positions he's able to get. Is TiametmardUK getting closer to Stoffel Van Dorn? I think he might be. I think that was over 2 seconds previously. Now down to 1.7, now down to 1.6, in fact. So this two-way battle for 8th position could easily become a three-way battle for 7th position. And Esteban Gutierrez not that far off. So if those three start battling, he could get himself involved as well, too, and have both Mercedes battling it out for 7th position.
We could have a huge battle for the last remaining points positions on our hand. They are indeed catching up to Stoffel Van Dorn, which is going to be great for Nicolas Latifi because he's currently running in P6, and that gap will extend if Stoffel Van Dorn does start battling with the likes of TiametmardUK and Jimmy Broadbent, and even Esteban Gutierrez. But I think the gap between Gutierrez and Jimmy Broadbent is staying very similar at the moment. Same with Lando Norris, unfortunately, trying to hunt down Esteban Gutierrez. Will he be able to close in the last remaining 4 laps? I don't think so. I feel like the gap is staying very similar. He's closing in by maybe a couple of attempts a lap, but unfortunately with the amount of laps remaining, that is not going to be enough. Looking at the battles, there's not really too many going on track at the moment. Just this one on your screens between Jimmy Broadbent and TiametmardUK, and both of these guys closing in on Stoffel Van Dorn. But Jimmy Broadbent just stepping away ever so slightly every single lap. He's losing about a tenth a lap to TiametmardUK every single time as he goes through that last corner. I've just been checking the gap times, and unfortunately he's just losing a little bit, even with the DRS that he has had on TiametmardUK, which is going to be interesting when Ben gets in the DRS of Stoffel Van Dorn, whether Jimmy can keep up or not. So that's going to be an interesting development as the race goes on. But this is going to go right down to the wire because Ben's not closing in on a humongous amount of time. And there are only 3 laps remaining in this race. So this is going to go right down to the wire for P7 in this race.
And I think TiametmardUK is going to get within DRS range of Stoffel Van Dorn, just looking how the gap has been coming down. It's, as you said, it's not massive amounts. It's not a guaranteed thing. And I think Ben Daly is going to get within the DRS range of that Mercedes ahead. Whether or not he's actually able to make the overtake, I think is going to be a big part of it. So he's almost within that 1 second range as they make their way through that turn 10, but he has not picked up the DRS. Jimmy Broadbent does pick up the DRS, but he's too far back in order to make a move into turn 11 here on the back of DRS straight. So he's going to have to stay behind for the meantime. TiametmardUK, though, still just over 1 second away from that Mercedes. Again, I think he's going to get the DRS. Whether or not he actually, and that's Super GT's car just going around. He just had to photobomb us with his car. He's just getting himself involved, getting some camera time.
Yeah, let's get his name in the stream as he gets out of the way. Those guys very easy. I'm not too sure whether you get DRS from a lapped car. I know that they ghost, and I know you do in real life, but on the game I'm not too sure whether you get DRS. Only time will tell whether. I'm trying to look in his mirror, and he has not actually got DRS on the likes of Stoffel Van Dorn or even Super GT, or maybe it was because Super GT braked before the DRS detection line and he was actually trying to help out his teammate of Jimmy Broadbent. I think he did as well. I think that's exactly why he broke earlier. He broke so early into that corner to let those guys through, to not give TiametmardUK the DRS, which would have certainly helped him pull away from Jimmy Broadbent. So teamwork is at play, definitely down at the Ferrari team.
That's incredible. You love to see it. You love to see it. And that sort of stuff is absolutely allowed. We are not gonna we're not gonna get upset about it. I'm actually impressed. I'm not even mad. I am impressed. That is some high-level 400 IQ gameplay right there. I don't know if it's actually gonna help Jimmy Broadbent. In fact, he may end up missing out on the DRS here on the back straight. We are on the penultimate lap already. And he missed out on it. But same thing. TiametmardUK has now gotten the DRS on Stoffel Van Dorn, so he's now looking forward, not backward.
But if you look ahead of you, Stoffel Van Dorn is right on the back of Tiro Limitless. And Limitless has had some issues in this race. And now Stoffel Van Dorn's passed. And TiametmardUK also gets past Tiro Limitless. And it looks like there was a little bit of front wing damage on that racing point. Looks like the front left of the racing point has got wing damage, which means that Van Dorn is now up into 6th. Latifi is up into a top 5 position in this race. And TiametmardUK is going to go battle with Stoffel Van Dorn for this P6 position on the final lap of the Bahrain Grand Prix. So who is going to come out on top as Nico Hülkenberg gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings of corner cutting incidents. Benjamin Daly winding up Stoffel Van Dorn at the moment. He's going to go for a move, possibly down in towards turn 4, as it looks like there might even be some front wing damage on the Red Bull. I saw maybe on the front right, as he looks like he goes to the inside line, down in towards turn 4. Will he be later on the brakes and Stoffel Vandoorne? Yes, he is. There is indeed front wing damage for TiametmardUK, so he's doing a great showing at the moment to be up into P6 with that front wing damage. We know in this game how much just a tiny amount of front wing damage can affect you, as Benjamin Daly is going to be looking to try and defend against Stoffel Vandoorne. But that also brings Jimmy Broadbent into the fight. He is right behind these guys, looking to get involved as well. Will anyone send it on the final lap, as Formula Danny still running away with this race at the moment? Absolute mile ahead as Benjamin Daly weaving on the straight as much as he is legally allowed to try and stop Stoffel Vandoorne, as Formula Danny wins the second race in the Not the GP series. It's another race win for the Alfa Romeo driver. Jarno Opmeer comes home in second place, with James Baldwin finishing today in third. Jem Bulabasi should get P4 if he doesn't make any incidents. Same with Nicolas Latifi getting P5. What a showing for him. But can Stoffel Vandoorne get TiametmardUK at the line? They come down to the final corner now. Stoffel Vandoorne will get the DRS on Benjamin Daly, cutting the corner ever so slightly, running it wide to try and get as much pace as he possibly can. That's probably puts him in the clutches of Jimmy Broadbent, but they all come across the line. They stay in position, and Ben holds on to P6. What an end to that race that was, as everybody else filters across the line now. Lando Norris indeed actually gets Esteban Gutierrez right at the end of the race. He comes across the line in P10, nearly getting Tyrrell Limitless as well for P9. Gutierrez comes home in P11, and wow, what a race that was.
That was a fantastic first race, and do not go anywhere, people, because of course we do have a second race coming up that is going to be reverse grid. So the people that finished lower down are going to be starting further up. So Formula Danny is going to be starting from last position, just to give you an example of what we have in store for us. So definitely do not go anywhere, because it's going to get even more exciting after what was already a fantastic race. I have to say, these guys really put on a show for us.
What an exciting race that was indeed. Formula Danny is our race winner for the second race in a row. And it's not really too surprising. You know, he comes from an F1 Esports pedigree. It was also interesting to see that most of the Esports drivers were at the top of the field. Tyrrell Limitless, unfortunately, having a problem at the end of the race. Not really too sure what there was. Probably a collision with Jem Bulabasi. They were battling so hard throughout that race. But Formula Danny takes the race win. And it's no real surprise for us, Justin, is it?
It really isn't. And you got to say, Jarno Opmeer kept him honest as well, too. Less than 2 seconds behind for a vast majority of that race. I do think once Danny built that gap to about 2 seconds, he was probably just managing that gap, looking after his tires, making sure he's not going too crazy, making sure he's got some tire life in case he does need to start battling Jarno Opmeer. So I think he was managing the race. I think he probably could have extended that even more if he wanted to. But Jarno was right there ready in case there was any sort of mistakes. And, you know, you start encountering lap traffic, you never know what's going to happen. So yeah, he was pushing him the whole way. And, you know, he gave us a battle for the lead, which we always love.
We do love a battle for the lead at the end of the day, don't we? And maybe we're going to see one in this reverse grid race coming up. So don't go anywhere. Let's read some of your tweets. Super GT and Ian Poulter on the front row for the reverse race. This will be interesting to watch from Paul at Paul MCG92. It is going to be interesting to watch Super GT and Ian Poulter on the front row of the grid. It'll be interesting to see what happened to WillNE as well in that race. Great first race. The reverse grid race is going to be absolutely manic. That was sent in from @Neeb SD19. So yes, it's going to be manic. It's going to be a crazy race, and that's what we want to put on. We want to put on a show. We're not really too fussed about it being realistic racing here, because it is not the Bar GP, and we just want to put on a show for all you guys at home.
Exactly. This is not F1 Esports. Again, I said it before. There are F1 Esports drivers in here, but yeah, we're not trying to go down that road or anything like that. This is about fun. This is about having fun in the current circumstances that we have in the world, and that is exactly what we got, because that was a lot of fun. We saw some carnage. We saw some battling. We saw some surprise. I mean, Latifi in the top 5. I really thought that would have been Lando, actually. That would have been in the top 5, but not the best race for him here today. But things might go differently for him in the reverse grid race. Of course, he'll be starting ahead of Latifi again.
The reverse grid race, of course, will test these drivers' abilities to overtake. Some of these guys that run at the front might not be very good at overtaking out on track. They may just be good at getting a good lap time and staying at the front, and they might not have the best racecraft. So it'd be interesting to see what their racecraft is going to be like in this race and how quickly they can make their way through the field, especially the likes of Formula Danny, Jarno Watmir and James Baldwin. Of course, we have seen some of these guys in, like you said earlier, the Veloce Squad Sprint Series. So that is very much like this. You know, those guys coming through the back, so we do know that they have some experience, but for maybe some of the other guys like Nicolas Latifi, he could be very new to this. Let's read another tweet. Nicolas Latifi, P5 on Williams' debut, Lando P10. That was sent in by Craig CR24. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Finally, something worthwhile watching. That was sent in from JManF414. So thank you everyone for your support at home. If you want to get involved and you want to get in touch with us and have your tweet on screen, tweet us using the hashtag #NotTheBarGP. So that's how to get your tweets on screen, and we will showcase some of the best of them. Let's talk about some of the other people's races lower down the field. Some people had some quiet races, unfortunately. Disappointing maybe for Arava. His luck isn't usually there in online races on the F1 2019 game, unfortunately finishing a little bit further down the field, but it means that it puts him straight in the mix for this race.
Which could have been, I mean, for all we know, that could have been Arava's strategy the entire time. That could have been what he was planning all along. Oh no, I had a bad first race. Here we go.
Gearbox issue for Arava TV.
Exactly. Starting near the front. Let's go. So yeah, it'll be an interesting one. And also, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how people defend, because that's the other side of that coin. You know, you're talking about, let's see how these guys can do their overtakes. That's fantastic. Can't wait to see that. I also can't wait to see how some of these guys are going to defend. Super GT, for example. Is he going to really be hugging that inside line into every single corner, pushing people wide at the exit? What's he going to do? Only time will tell.
Sending people to the shallow realm as soon as they try to overtake him, or even if they have a sniff up the inside, he is not letting them through. It'd be interesting to see the likes of Thibaut Courtois. We know he is quick on the game. He did not have the luck in the first race, so potentially with the reverse grid, that could definitely put him in the mix for a reverse grid race win.
Yeah, I would say so. And of course, when you get people battling, it causes problems for the people behind. If you're the car behind, you got two cars ahead of you that are battling, where are you going to go? You're going to make it 3 wide? There's not many places you could do that. Probably into turn 1, maybe into turn 4, but you know, you're running the risk of losing a little bit of front wing, all of that kind of stuff. So when you have those side-by-side battles ahead of you, it kind of keeps you in position and prevents you from moving up the field. And we've seen in Veloce videos in the past, people like Formula Danny, James Baldwin, they know how to read these situations, get through the groups, get through the packs, get to the front as quickly as possible. It's not going to be something that a lot of other drivers are familiar with, though. So they're going to be testing skills they've never really put to the test before.
This race is really all going to be about being patient and trying to get through the field as quickly as possible, but you've also got to have that element of patience, because if you get too flustered, you get too aggressive, you can lose your front wing, and as we saw with Tiro Limitless, it will lose you a lot of time. He was miles ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, Nicolas Latifi, Ben Daly, TiametmardUK and Jimmy Broadbent, and he got a little bit of front wing damage, and that put him straight back in the mix with the rest of the guys. So you've got to be careful, but you've also got to be aggressive. It's very difficult to know exactly what to do, and I suppose a bit of luck comes into it as well.
Yeah, you got to manage that. You know, as people who watch endurance racing know, the traffic can giveth and the traffic can taketh away. So it can certainly be a blessing or it can be a curse. It can really go either way. So yeah, you need a little bit of luck, but also you need to be able to read the situation. You need to be able to understand what people are going to do over the next few seconds, even before they know what they're going to do, and then plan accordingly and position your car accordingly. So it's going to be difficult, especially because a lot of the drivers that they're going to be overtaking aren't going to do the traditional racing driver stuff. So, you know, someone like Nico Hulkenberg might be sitting behind somebody and they're going to think, oh, this person's going to do this. There's no chance in hell they're going to do that. They might have no idea what they're doing. So there's going to be a lot of question marks in the air for sure about this one.
I think nobody knows what to expect going into this race. You guys at home, us watching, even the people taking part, nobody really knows what exactly could happen. It could be carnage, it could be amazing racing. Let's talk about the last race then just a little bit, as we're still waiting for things to get ready for the reverse grid race. Who's your driver of the day from the first race?
Ooh, that's a tough one. You know, I think I got to go with Latifi actually getting that top 5 finish, because I mean he was near the front. He was the second placed F1 driver in qualifying behind Lando Norris, which already really impressed me, I have to say, with Latifi. But then to get that top 5 finish, you know, avoid incidents, all that kind of stuff, I think I got to give it to Latifi.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Latifi did have a great showing, of course, qualifying in P8 and then moving himself up into P5. Kept it clean. He got the advantage at the start, of course, TiametmardUK and Lando Norris getting caught up in that incident very early on. It'll be interesting to see what happened between those guys. Of course, we're going to have footage on the Veloce Esports YouTube channel of all the best on boards, all the highlights. So if you missed any of that, don't forget to check out the videos in the next coming week from the best on boards from those guys. And if you are currently watching the other streams, get in touch with us using the hashtag #NotTheBarGP and tell us exactly what happened. And who are you rooting for in this reverse grid race? Justin, who are you rooting for?
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. You know what? I'm just super curious to see how Super GT handles this. That's what I'm really looking forward to is seeing what he can do. Maybe a top 10, something like that. Jimmy had a little bit better luck on the Ferrari side in the first race, but Super GT, I'm going to root for him here today. I think he's the one that's going to get my support for this reverse grid race. And looks like we're getting ready already.
Looks like we are underway here. Yeah, Super GT. What? Everyone at home, who's your money on? Who are you looking forward to see do well in this reverse grid? Let's run you through the order though while this formation lap is going on. WillNE is back in the session. He currently lines up in pole position with Super GT alongside him on the front row of the grid. Ian Poulter, the golfer, the postman, will he be sending moves on WillNE and Super GT in P3 on the grid. Arava is in P4, so watching Lando Cam and Golf Cam at the moment on the right hand side of your screens. Nico Hulkenberg will start in P5, starting in the position that his teammate finished in the last race. Louis Delatraz in the Red Bull starts in P6 with Pete Smee in 7th. Thibaut Courtois, the Real Madrid goalkeeper, in P8 with Felix von der Leyden in P9. Esteban Gutierrez lines up in 10th with Lando Norris in P11. Tiro Limulus, not a great race at the end of the first one. He now lines up in P12. It could have been a back row grid, so it might have helped him though in this second race. He could be one to watch coming through the field. Jimmy Broadbent will line up in P13 with Stoffel van Dorn 14th, with TiametmardUK in 15th, and Nicolas Latifi will line up in P16. Jembel Abassi, this is where we start to get to the proper meaty part of the grid. The F1 Esports drivers, it will be interesting to see how those drivers get through the field. Jembel Abassi in 17th with James Baldwin, the world's fastest gamer, in P18. Jona Wattman 19th, and Daniel Bresnay will line up right at the back of the grid. As a few of these guys doing the formation lap properly, a couple of guys stuck on the grid. Let's read some more of your tweets. Van Dorn and Latifi did great in Not the Bar GP. It's been a great birthday present to have some form of F1. So thank you very much and happy birthday to you. I'm glad that we can provide a bit of entertainment for your birthday, unfortunately, with the Bahrain Grand Prix getting cancelled. Ryan Anderson is rooting for the Hulk, so let's go Hulk. Will Hulk be able to do a good race? He's starting in P5. He could definitely have a good race for himself as the guys are now lining up on the grid. They're getting into this reverse grid, of course. It's going to be completely new to us. No one knows what's going to go on as the back guys are starting to get into their grid slots now. And momentarily, we will be underway for the second race in the Not the Bar GP as the lights are coming on now. It is WillNE who lines up in pole position. Super GT is alongside him on the first row, and it is lights out, and we are off for Not the Bar GP. WillNE not getting a great start compared to Super GT. He's going to get the inside line down in towards turn 1. GT has got it done. Super GT up the inside in towards turn 1. Can he hold on to position? Will they keep it clean behind him? I doubt it, but will they surprise me? No, they don't. Someone's gone round. Stoffel van Dorn has left the session. He's at a disconnect, so hopefully we can get him back in as soon as possible. Super GT leads the way. Nico Hulkenberg currently in second, defending from WillNE and Arava. Jembel Abassi all the way up into P5. What an opening first corner for him. Way down in 17th on the grid, and somehow he's found his way into P5 on the grid. What a start for him, and it'll be very interesting to see how exactly he did that. Lando Norris, a great start for him as well, starting in P11 and now running in P6 as Jembel Abassi gets past WillNE, or will he up the inside as WillNE in towards turn 9 and 10. WillNE still holding it. Lando giving his teammate a little helping hand, pushing him through the corner, and he gets back past the F1 Esports driver. Now Lando will be looking to see whether he can get past both these guys. Being patient at the moment. You don't want to lose your front wing, battling with guys that you know you can get past on the straight. So Lando being patient at the moment. Jem is past. He's up into P4. What a move from Lando Norris up the inside in towards that corner there, and it is job done for Lando Norris. What a start though for Jem Bassi, as Lando Norris defending now from his teammate of WillNE into the final corner of turns 14 and 15, and Esteban Gutierrez diving it up the inside there, and so did Formula Danny, and it looks like they're both going to get past. The Super GT completes the first lap in the lead. Somebody's in the pits. It's Formula Danny. Pits very early on in this race. Will he be trying to avoid the traffic? Of course, they've got to work their way through guys that they know are slower than him. We know that Formula Danny is quick, as we're watching this battle between Nico Hulkenberg and Arava go on, and it looks like Hulkenberg gets the better of Arava, but Jem Bassi is up into second place, and we're only just 1/3 through the first lap. What an opening lap that is from Jem Bassi. Arava's been sent out wide on turn 4, and Lando Norris now up into P5, getting past Nico Hulkenberg. Justin, what an opening lap that was.
That was incredible. Lando getting Hulkenberg into turn 5. Not a typical overtaking location. You do see it from time to time. I'm not convinced that Jem Bassi isn't hacking or cheating or something, because that was the most insane first lap of a race I've ever seen in this game in my entire life. Arab and Hulkenberg going side by side. I think Arab may have helped out a little bit actually with that, as far as Jem Bassi, his teammate, getting through. But look at this. We've got a lot of cars, 4 cars in a very tight space making their way through turn 11. Nico Hulkenberg continues to lead the way, but he's got James Baldwin, Arab, and Jarno Opmeer all right behind him, pushing him through. And look at that, just there's a couple more cars right behind as well, so it's very close up at the front here. Super GT still leading the way though, but yeah, this is not a race for the claustrophobic. This is insanity.
This is what we wanted. This is why we decided to do a reverse grid race, because just look at how close they are, all the way down from the likes of Jarno Opmeer. Behind him probably goes back to TiametmardUK batting. Look at the gaps between everybody at the moment. Nico Hulkenberg coming back at James Baldwin there, who's currently up into P4, as Esteban Gutierrez right behind the Toro Rosso of Arav. Looks like go round the outside in towards turn 2. Can he get the job done? Arav squeezes him off wide, and now Jimmy Broadbent is getting involved in the battle as they go down in towards turn 4. Now Broadbent on the inside. Oh, contact between the 3 of them, but it looks like Limitless is going to hold on there around the outside of turn 4, side by side with Jimmy Broadbent. Who's going to yield first in towards the S's section? Esteban Gutierrez right behind this pack, and it looks like Jimmy Broadbent has got the job done for the time being against Tiro Limitless, but it looks like he might have dived it back up the inside in towards turn 8 there, as now Arava's defending so hard. Look at how hard he's defending against Esteban Gutierrez, barging him off the track, really getting his elbows out. As his round goes Arava in the Toro Rosso. Did he manage to save that? I think he might have done it. He did. What a save from Arava. Usually we see those saves from Thibaut Courtois in the Real Madrid team, but Arava showing Thibaut how it's done, as it looks like the battle is not over between Jimmy Broadbent and Limitless, but Broadbent still holding on at the moment. Jem Bassi leading at the moment in today's race. He has still got a pit stop to take though. It'll be interesting to see where Formula Danny slots back in this, going for a very early pit stop to try and avoid all this traffic, all this carnage, and come out in lots of clean air to pump in those lap times and try and get past. He just overtakes Stoffel Van Dorn out on track. Limitless, the battle is not over. Looks like he might have front wing damage once again. I think he does. Yes, he does. And he comes into the pit lane to try and fix that. As we're watching this battle now between Nicolas Latifi going up against Esteban Gutierrez. This is the battle for P11. Latifi up the inside, down in towards turn 1. Can he hold position on the brakes? Yes, he can. And that is him up into P11. And now going to be hunting down the likes of Arava, Louis Delatraz, WillNE, and also Jimmy Broadbent. Of course, Latifi had a great race in the first round as he goes very defensive in towards turn 4. Gutierrez going to have to go the long way round through turn 4, and it looks like he's going to try. He's going to hold it around the outside, but he unfortunately has to yield. And that brings Thibaut Courtois back into the mix there between him and Esteban Gutierrez. There might have been contact, though, between him and the Real Madrid goalkeeper, as Courtois has completely disappeared from view between those two. Lando Norris having a great showing at the moment in P3. Will he be hunting down Super GT in that Ferrari? James Baldwin will be hot on his heels as well. And Jarno Opmeer is not giving up on James Baldwin. Interesting to see the strategies that the drivers have picked for this reverse grid race. James Baldwin starting on the medium tyres, so did Jarno Opmeer, and Formula Danny, currently in P17, is on the medium tyres all the way to the end of the race. So it's going to be interesting to see whether he can make those tyres last the rest of the race, Justin.
Yeah, not too many people starting on the medium compound tires, so it'll be very interesting to see how that works out. Oh, Ben Daly, TiametmardUK picking up a 3-second time penalty. That's unfortunate.
No surprise there.
Down in 16th. Yeah, not surprising, but still unfortunate. Also, I was going to say, I don't think Esteban Gutierrez has had this much excitement at the Bahrain International Circuit since the last time he clashed with Maldonado in 2014. So I think he's having probably a little bit of a blast. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out for him. He ended up losing a number of positions. But wow, that was absolutely insane. Here we go. Yeah, Lando up the inside on Super GT for second position.
Going for the overtake up the inside in towards turn 4 and getting the job done on Super GT. Will he be able to hunt down the F1 Esports driver of Jem Bullock-Bassi? Probably not, but I want Lando to surprise me. So go on, Lando, go get Jem Bullock-Bassi and go fight for the win of this race. Super GT now dropping down into P3, but having a really good showing, you know, being out the front, not being in those collisions early on, and it just shows that maybe Super GT is a lot quicker than everybody thought that he was. We're on board now with Nico Hulkenberg, trying to catch up to the back of Jimmy Broadbent now. Only 4 tenths is the gap between himself and Jimmy Broadbent. He's going to be in the DRS zone. DRS is now activated. We're on lap 5 currently of this not-to-the-bar reverse grid Grand Prix. WillNE still holding on to P7, doing a good showing, and same with Arava. He spun it, but he did manage to catch it, and he holds on to P8 at the moment. So it looks like Daniel Beresne has just overtaken Ian Poulter. It's unfortunate to see for Ian there, dropping down into P16, and we must have missed it, but James Baldwin has come into the pits very early on, or actually in the pit stop phase, in this race, although he did start on the medium. So what sort of strategy would he be going for there? He's pitted very early if he did start on the medium tyres, and he's going to be going all the way now till the end of the race, surely on what has to be hard set tyres. As into the pits comes Lando Norris, Jarno Opmeer and Jimmy Broadbent, and everybody else flying into pits as well. Nicolas Latifi, Louis Delatraz, Esteban Gutierrez. Felix is not into the pits. He's starting on the medium tyres, so he's going to be going later into the race like he did earlier on. Arava trying to get into the free air now, same with WillNE, but also these guys behind them, whoever's leading the pack, which is Lando Norris, will be hoping to be in free air on fresher tyres and trying to catch up to the likes of Jem Bullock-Bassi. It'll be interesting to see when he comes into the pits, Justin.
James Baldwin, by the way, switched over to the soft tires very early, so he's going for a very aggressive strategy.
That's got to be a two-stop, surely.
I'm not sure. I think he might try to stretch it. Also, Jarno Opmeer going for the soft tires as well rather early at the end of lap 5. Ooh, there's some contact between the Toro Rosso and Mclaren. But yeah, Jarno Opmeer also going for the softs at the end of lap 5. He's looking to do a 9-lap stint or stop an extra time.
I don't think that he can take those soft tyres all the way to the end of the race. He will really surprise me if he can take soft tyres all the way to the end here, as Danny slots back into 7th at the moment. WillNE getting overtaken by his friend Arava. Round goes, and Alfa Romeo is Daniel Beresne, the winner of the first race in this Not The Bar GP. And round goes Danny. What a shock that is. Daniel Beresne, he usually is so consistent and showing a little bit of weakness, and now being overtaken by James Baldwin, who has already made a pit stop. Whether James can go for all the way to the end of this Grand Prix, we're yet to see, as everybody else is now flooding into the pits. Jem Bullock-Bassi, Super GT, Arava, Nico Hulkenberg, and WillNE. Will TiametmardUK come into pits, or will he go into the lead of this race? No, TiametmardUK doesn't pit, but will he come out ahead of Jem Bullock-Bassi? No, he does not. James Baldwin slots back into 3rd position at the moment, just ahead of the McLaren of Lando Norris. Super GT comes out of the pits, and he is currently in P8 at the moment. Jarno Opmeer slots out just behind Lando Norris. So it looks like everybody has sort of made their pit stops. There's a few guys still left to do so. TiametmardUK, Felix von der Leyden, and also Stoffel van Dorn, who we lost earlier on in this Grand Prix. But I think he is back in the session now, as he has overtaken Pete Schmidt and Ian Poulter. So it'll be interesting to see where Stoffel can finish in this race. But leading the way currently is Jem Bullock-Bassi. He is in a net lead as well, so he has already made his pit stop. Baldwin should slot in to 2nd place, with Formula Danny slotting in to P3, and will probably be going on the hunt of his Alfa Romeo teammate. It'd be interesting to see what happened there, because there wasn't really any drivers around him, so you can only really suspect that he just dropped it on the throttle on the braking, Justin.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody around him. So I have to say, I think that's a very odd and very strange mistake for Formula Danny, who is normally as good at holding a position as he is at holding a note when he sings. So, I mean, this is somebody who usually never makes mistakes whatsoever. But he now has an over 3-second gap between himself and his teammate, and he's on a harder compounded tire. He's definitely going to be slower for right now, but the mediums could come into their own towards the end of this race if James is indeed trying to go to the end on the softs.
We're watching currently Tyrrell Limitless go on the attack of Nico Hulkenberg. Onto the start-finish straight they go. He's going to get the DRS on the Williams ahead of him, but the Williams is going to get DRS on Jimmy Broadbent. So this could be a three-way battle all the way down in towards turn one. Where's Limitless going to go? He's only really got the choice of the outside line. Hulkenberg up the inside on Broadbent. Contact between the two of them. Nico goes on, and Jimmy did very well to stay on the track off that contact and that barge from Nico Hulkenberg. But now his mirrors are going to be filled with Tyrrell Limitless, who tries to go round the outside in towards turn 4. You're not going to make it stick there, but maybe get the switchback maneuver done on Jimmy Broadbent, who is very good on the power out of the corner, and now into the S's section where Limitless is going to have to stay behind. Nico Hulkenberg has slotted behind his teammate Nicolas Latifi after trying to make that dive down in towards turn 1. As Limitless now goes up the inside in towards turn 8, can't get the job done. He's really struggling to try and get round Jimmy Broadbent, who's doing a fantastic job of defending at the moment in this reverse grid race of Not the Bar GP. Jana Otmir has just got past Lando Norris for P5, so unfortunately for Norris, he is slowly falling down the field, but he will be looking to try and continue that battle with TiametmardUK, who he battled, of course, with in the Australian Grand Prix. So it would be interesting to see where those two come out around each other, as Limitless still struggling to get past Jimmy Broadbent, and he has a new front wing, so he doesn't have any excuses now to deal with, as Ben gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane. That's rather unfortunate there for TiametmardUK, but will he lose out to lots of positions for that? We're going to have to wait to see what happens to Ben as everyone's filing down the start-finish straight now. Limitless going for the attack on Broadbent. He goes up the inside, down in towards turn 1. Can he make the move stick in towards the first corner? It looks like it's job done for Limitless, but Broadbent's going to get the DRS back on him down in towards the turn 4. Or actually, no, there is no detection zone between the two, sorry. So looks like Limitless is going to hold on to it. And yes, he does. He holds on to position there against Jimmy Broadbent, who's going to have to settle for P9, as these guys are now going to try and catch up to the likes of Super GT. And also Felix, who's running in P6, but he is yet to pit.
Unbelievable. I cannot believe this battle that we're seeing for 8th position. It essentially goes all the way down to Louis Delatraz in 17th position. The biggest gap currently is between Esteban Gutierrez and Nico Hulkenberg in 13th and 14th positions. But that's coming down, and just ahead of Esteban Gutierrez is essentially that battle for 8th position for the lower points paying positions. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this goes. We've got about a handful of laps still to go, 5 laps to go as they make their way to the end of this lap now. So not much still to go, and still pretty close as well. The gaps are a little bit bigger in the top 5, indeed the top 6. Super GT not that far behind Felix, so that could become a battle that starts to happen. But really, it's all about Tyrrell Limitless in 8th position. He's got Jimmy Broadbent still in DRS range. WillNE still in there as well too. Arab, Latifi, Hulkenberg, TiametmardUK, Gutierrez, Courtois, and Delatraz. Again, not a bunch of massive gaps, so this is going to be very close come the end of the race.
Yes, now getting back into the meaty battle between Nicolas Latifi and Nico Hulkenberg, following just behind him at the moment. Arava in P10 right now. WillNE still holding on to a good position currently in P9, doing a great job, and now actually going on to a battle with Jimmy Broadbent. Who would have thought this? Arava has a little look up the inside and now goes side by side with WillNE, who's holding on to that position, but how much longer? Arava is trying to get past the YouTuber, and just ahead of him, of course, is a sim racer and YouTuber of Jimmy Broadbent. Looking further down the field, no, Arava dives it up the inside in towards turn 8 and punts off WillNE, who actually comes to a full-on stop, and he's got to be very, very angry about that from Arava. And now he's really just struggling to get back on track. Not too sure what is going on for WillNE. He's dropped all the way down in towards P11. And unfortunate there for WillNE. He was doing such a fantastic job out on track. TiametmardUK currently in P13 after that pit stop. He has also got a 5-second penalty to deal with, so he's going to want to get past this pack as soon as he possibly can. It's interesting to note, Justin, the gap between James Baldwin and Jembulet Bassi for the lead of the race is coming down. Will it come down quick enough, though, for the end of the race battle for the win? Only time will tell, but it's definitely dropped about 0.6 of a second in that last lap. So, potentially, we could have a titanic battle at the end of the lap. If, I say if, there's a big if James Baldwin's tyres can last all the way till the end of the race. As Arava gets past Jimmy Broadbent for P8 out on track, and Jimmy Broadbent will be looking to try and fight him down in towards turn 1. So we're still watching on board with TiametmardUK. There's a yellow flag out in sector 1. It's a McLaren again. WillNE is off the track once more, and he's now dropping down into P14. Issues for WillNE in this reverse grid. Really sad to see, because he was doing so fantastically there at the beginning. In the first 10 laps of this race, to hold on to a points-paying position, just to show that he's not that much slower than the rest of the guys. Australia was a struggle for him, first time really jumping into the F1 2019 game, but it looks like a bit of practice between the two, and he's actually doing a good showing, but unfortunately he's now down in P14 after a punt from Arava. So there'll be words between those two in the steward's office later on after the race, as it looks like Arava is in some space of his own at the moment. I doubt he'll catch up to TRL Limitless in this race, but he's going to have to try and look in his mirrors to see where Nicolas Latifi appears. Of course, a great showing from Latifi in the first race. Now in the reverse grid race, started down in P15 earlier on, or P16, sorry, and now on the back of Arava for P8. Super GT doing a great job holding on to P6 at the moment. Not really too many battles going on apart from this one out on track that has Nicolas Latifi, as it looks like TiametmardUK gets past Nico Hulkenberg there. TiametmardUK on the softer tyres, so he's going to be really gunning for it in these remaining few laps, isn't he, Justin?
Yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on TiametmardUK. He's on what are now 3-lap-old soft tires in a group of drivers that are on much older and harder compound tires as well. So he does make rather quick work of Nico Hulkenberg. I can't believe I'm saying that sentence, but moves himself up into 11th, and he's got a couple laps still to go to try and gain some more positions as Nicolas Latifi moves ahead of Arava. Another sentence I never expected to say. But yeah, I think TiametmardUK here is really going to be a dark horse for P8. He's got those the soft tires, he's got the fresh tires, and all of these guys around him are struggling by comparison as far as grip is concerned. So I think he's definitely going to be closing up to Jimmy here, and I think he could even get as high as 8th position come the end of this race.
He's got a lot of free air ahead of him, so he can now start to push and pump in the lap times to try and catch up to the likes of Jimmy Broadbent, Nicolas Latifi and Arava, who are battling really hard here for P8 at the moment. Latifi did get past Arava momentarily, but Arava still holds on to that P8 position, so he's doing a great job to defend against the Williams Formula 1 driver. Of course, second in F2 in 2019. And Jimmy Broadbent licking his lips, just waiting to pounce on any mistakes from these two up ahead of him. The gap, unfortunately, no longer coming down between Jembulet Bassi and James Baldwin for the lead of the race. And looks like Formula Danny isn't closing up on his teammates. So let's focus on this battle for P8 instead. Arava holding on. He's going to go defensive down in towards turn 1, but Latifi with the DRS down in towards the first corner. Broadbent trying to get involved as well. Arava switches to around the outside. He's going to go for his famous switchbacker dreams move, and can he complete it around the outside of turn 2? Latifi's going to squeeze him out, but Arava is going to follow in the slipstream once more, all the way down in towards turn 4. He's got DRS now on Latifi. He goes up the inside into turn 4, but it is not able to work, and Latifi for now holding on to that position. But Arava, is he done yet? No, he's not. Still fighting all the way to the S's section, and he gets the job done. What a move from Arava up the inside into the S's. Latifi had to yield, and that is a fantastic move from Arava to hold on to P8. He is defending so well at the moment in this race, and that is something that is very surprising to see from Arava. He's not as quick as the likes of TiametmardUK and those guys, and we saw from the first race, Latifi is quick. We can tell that he's certainly quicker than Arava at the moment, but Arava defending well, and he's going to have to do it again as he's just tucking behind the Williams car at the moment. Latifi gets past into turn 11, and now Arava's going to have to go again down in towards turn 1. He's going to have to stick behind the Williams as much as he possibly can and try and go for the overtake down the start-finish straight. Sorry, what was that, Justin?
Here comes Ben, TiametmardUK in the background.
Oh yes, here he comes on the softer tyres. He's going to try and make quick work of these guys. Remember, he's got that 5-second time penalty as we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix. Jem Bulabasi leading the way at the moment. James Baldwin currently in second with Formula Danny in third. But the battle for 8th is really heating up as Arif comes back at Nicolas Latifi here, down in towards turn 1. Can he get the job done late on the brakes? No, he's not. He just goes conservative, goes for the switchback move. Broadbent trying to get involved there, and TiametmardUK slides up the inside through turn 2 and says thank you very much for that position. Now Arif, will he go around the outside, down in towards turn 4? Is he late enough on the brakes? Does he have the tyres underneath him? It doesn't look like he has. He might send it though back up the inside into the S's. Latifi defends. He knows what Arif's tricks are, and he defends against him for the time being. But Arif, will he send it? He goes around the outside now, down in towards turn 8. TiametmardUK trying to hold on to this position, trying to gain on this position at the moment. Arif trying to hold on. He's got the inside line for the very tricky turn 9 and turn 10, and it looks like for now he has got the job done. And Latifi runs wide as Jem Bulabasi is coming round the final corner now. He comes across the line and he takes the race win for the reverse grid race for the Not the Bar GP. What a performance there from Jem Bulabasi, but this battle isn't over yet. They're 3 wide as they go through turn 12 and turn 13. Arif has missed out massively on TiametmardUK and Nicolas Latifi. Tries to send it up the inside on Latifi. Can he get the job done? No, he can't. Latifi's gone out wide. He's lost the back end. There's collision between the two of them. Latifi has lost his front wing. They were battling oh so hard right at the end of that race, and it looks like they're going to miss out massively. TiametmardUK is going to come across the line for P8 as James Baldwin finishes in second. Danny finishes in third with Yana Watmir fourth. Super GT, a great performance from him to finish in P5 with Limitless finishing 6th, Norris in 7th, Jimmy Broadbent in 8th, Esteban Gutierrez in 9th, and Nicolas Latifi getting the final position in the top 10. Arava defended so hard, and then unfortunately it all fell away from him. What a race that was, Justin, and that is exactly what we wanted from the reverse grid, wasn't it?
I can't even, I'm sort of at a loss for words. That ending was just, the whole race was incredible, but that ending was, I mean, that was fantastic. This has really been an absolute dream come true for me to commentate on this grid of drivers with the support of Formula One, with the support of motorsport games. I mean, this is something I'm never going to forget. That was exactly what we wanted. That was hugely entertaining, tons of fun. What else can I say? It was a thing of beauty. It really was. It
really was a great race. I mean, Jem Bulabasi going from what was, I think, 17th on the grid, all the way up into P5 by turn 4, and then second by the end of the first lap. I want to watch his POV, and I want to see that start, because there has got to be some corner cutting involved. He must have completely missed out that first corner to get into that position, because that was an insane start for Jem Bulabasi, and that's really what gave him the race win, wasn't it, Justin?
I don't know if it was corner cutting or sector cutting. We may have to come up with a whole new term for what he did. I assume he just cut out all of sector 2 or something just to be able to do that, because that was completely insane. And I've known Jem for a long time, and I've always known he's a hugely talented driver, but that was just super fantastic to watch from him. And, you know, he doesn't quite have the experience of some of the other guys when it comes to these reverse grid races. And he put on a clinic. It was amazing.
There's probably a bit of luck involved in that. I'd love to see the start from him.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely showing that he had good patience at times, but sometimes you've just got to be aggressive. Sometimes you've just got to send it and get past those guys as quickly as you can and allow your rivals to get caught up behind you, because that is the way you're going to get that gap, and that is the way that you're going to get that lead, and for him, eventually, the race win. Other highlights from that race, of course, we saw a chip from Formula Danny. We saw a spin from Daniel Beresne, which is something we don't usually see.
No, again, an incredibly consistent driver. There's, which is exactly how he was able to get third in the 2019 F1 Esports season, despite the unbelievably bad luck that he had during the season as well. He's an unbelievable driver, which is why, he's winning races already in this. And yeah, a bit of a weird one. I don't know if he hadn't have spun, if he would have been pressuring Jem or if he would have been second. It's hard to say exactly. Obviously, he lost seconds as a result of that spin, plural seconds. But yeah, I don't know if he would have beaten Jem anyway, because again, Jem Bulabasi, just absolutely scythed his way through the field. I think maybe he put his car on stilts and just drove over the entire field. Again, I gotta see that onboard.
It was absolutely fantastic. We can't not mention as well Super GT. Of course, he did start on the front row, but he did a great showing. He held on to position and he finished P5. I think it was P5 or maybe a little bit further down the field. But he did have a great showing at the end of the day, did Super GT, holding on to those positions and showing that the first 2 races were just an anomaly and he does have some pace.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I think he really showed us what he's capable of. You know, he didn't get caught up in too much stuff. He drove smart, and he got the result as a result of that. So, yeah, really impressive stuff from him. I also have to say, TiametmardUK as well, that charge at the end, good strategy calls from him. He was really able to push those soft tires. The only mistake from him really was that 5-second penalty speeding into the pit lanes. He was a bit too keen coming into the pits for his one and only stop. Unfortunately, that dropped him from 8th, where he finished as he crossed the line, I believe, down to 15th. He lost 7 positions. So, you know, it's not going to reflect when you look at the results or whatever. But TiametmardUK, I got to say, is definitely a contender for driver of the race when it comes to that reverse grid race.
It was so close, wasn't it, between those guys, especially batting for PA, and that's what we wanted. That is what we wanted from the reverse grid race, to show that, you know, okay, we may have had the gap at the front, we may have not had the battle that we wanted for the lead of the race. I think Formula Danny spin did cost him that race win because, like you said, he lost seconds, and he was only, 5 seconds behind Jem Bullet-Bassi, so I reckon he would have been in a fight with Jem. Whether he would have got it or not, we will never know, but he would have definitely been in a fight with Jem Bullet-Bassi come the end of the race. So unfortunate for Formula Danny, but great for Jem Bullet-Bassi to see, of course. Esports driver right from the beginning, showing that he has got the pace and that he can fight with the top dogs.
How about WillNE as well? You know, again, the result maybe doesn't match. You know, I'm very impressed with what I saw from him, though. We saw him in those battles heading into Sector 2. And I got to say, I was really impressed. You know, not only was he not last, he was getting involved in battles and everything. I got to say, another really impressive showing.
It was very impressive from WillNE, certainly. I mean, Australia was a difficult race for him coming into a new game. And something that he doesn't really do much. But you can tell that he's definitely put in the practice between Australia and Bahrain, because he was up there with the pace. You know, he wasn't like everyone was just filing, you know, sending moves on him, getting past him as soon as possible. He was defending well, and he held on to that 9th position for quite a long time. And it was only unfortunately because Arab sent up the inside of him that it cost him those positions, and then he lost out further along in the grid as well. Talking about other people, there was an incident as well for Stoffel van Dorn at the start, so unfortunate for him. It would have been interesting to see what he could have done in a reverse grid race. So yeah, it was difficult to sort of see for some of those guys, and maybe they get a better chance next week. Justin, before we go, let's just read a couple of tweets. That battle between Nicolas Latifi and Arava was insane in the second race. Shame for them both to lose a couple of positions after content. Just a couple of corners from the end. It was very, very close between those guys, and that was the best racing I've seen in years, that final lap from One Lung. So thank you guys for getting in touch with us. You can still use the hashtag NotTheBarGP, and we will be chatting with you guys as after the race and stuff like that. So don't forget to still get your tweets in, and we will you know, reply to you guys as much as we possibly can. Thank you very much for joining me today, Justin. Before we go, who is your driver of the day for the second race?
You know, I'm gonna give it to Ben, just purely for the entertainment factor, going for the alternate strategy, showing us a lot of overtakes in what was a very tight midfield battle. So I think I'm gonna give it to TiametmardUK, surprisingly.
TiametmardUK, driver of the day for Justin. I have to say as well, the reason that these races could happen is unfortunately to the coronavirus and the situation of all sports being suspended. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to all of those and the families that have been affected from this terrible disease. But that has been it for Not The Bar GP. Thank you guys very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the Veloce Esports YouTube channel. And also follow us on Twitch, because we're going to have more of this content for you guys. This is not the end, but until the next time, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from Justin.